Okay, so we are back with another session of Befallen. This is session 4, and I'm really excited to get back into it. Hopefully we get another combat so that I won't accidentally mute myself, and we'll get to see hear all the decisions I was making and all the narrative that was being built. Because the last one, that was fun. So what happened last time? So I came across the singing fields where I was nearly overwhelmed by the crystalline resonance. There was the corruption of the eternal song. It tried to petrify my joints. But I used a moment of, in a moment of desperation, I used a fate point to find the dissonance in the melody. And then I finally escaped. And then I arrived in Ember, which is this wandering city. And one of the hooks, the main plot in this nomadic city is that Eustace, a man named Eustace Savior, was finding that his livestock was murdered each morning, and I went to go look to figure out what was happening and going on. So the problem was that there was a were raven on the loose, and I needed to find it and destroy it or cure it. But along the way, I found the raven, and when it came time to decide whether he actually wanted to be cured or he was too far gone, it ended up being that he was already too far gone and addicted to the blood and the bloodshed and everything that he turned into. So, and it ended up having to destroy the were-raven as it fell to its doom. And so now the Ember has entered into a time of peace. I finished the fight. I had to invoke the Watcher, but the bird man was crushed. So we ended there. And so I'm going to stay in Ember for a short while longer. I'm going to undertake some quests like I did before. And I think the community is starting to trust me a little bit more, and they're very nice here and welcoming as they're this kind of eclectic group of nomadic travelers. And so I'm here. I'm going to do some quests, but I also want to learn a new formula from a practitioner. So that is something that you can do when you go to different settlements. I could spend one skill point, or I could learn from a practitioner. I'm going to do that. I think I want to see what that mechanic is like and how that works. Now, my corruption with the Watcher Beneath the Waves is a 4 out of 9, and the Eternal Song corruption, I'm at a 3 out of 9. And I got some cool new abilities because the corruption, those entities, they give you abilities, but it's always at a cost, which is really cool and interesting. So I have Melodic Perfection from the Eternal Song, so I can reroll failures using corruption dice. And then from the Watcher Beneath the Waves, when I have 3, it gives me a sigil of the Watcher. So I can draw an eye symbol and be able to hear and listen in on wherever I drew that. So that can come in handy. Oh yeah, also in terms of my obsession progress, I got 2 clues already. So we're good on the clues part, which is important. So I want to acquire this lens. I got a new lead that the tuning mechanism is likely in the Artificer's Quarter of a city called Neraine. And then another clue was that the frame was lost in a caravan raid near the city of Amandet. And so that was some really good stuff. When I go to the next location, I'll be able to verify whether that's true or not. And I think Neraine is going to be the next city that I'm going to go to. Neraine sounds pretty cool. Which is it's a massive city spilling over the edge of a wide limestone. This is Neraine here. It's a wide limestone plateau overlooking the sea. It's composed of 2 sections. Upper Neraine, the affluent home of the upper class, where the rich live, of course, in luxury, but it's alongside animated dolls who serve their needs. So interesting. And then lower Neraine, you can probably guess, it's the crime-ridden home of the downtrodden, built upon reclaimed marshland. And it's very much giving you know, top side, underside, you know, arcane vibes. So we will head to Neraine next, but for right now, let's roll a d6 and let's see what this first quest is that I'm going to do here in Ember, the Wandering City. Okay, so that is a 3. First quest. A doppelganger has hidden themselves amidst the people of Ember, rapidly switching identities to hide. Find the doppelganger and stop them, or convince the people of Ember to find a place within their society for the doppelganger. Okay, so I need to find this hidden doppelganger. Of course, I can use investigation, and I can use like social. I got skill in persuasion, sneak, occult, artifice. So there's a few ways that I can go about this. I mean, investigation is the most obvious. I mean, so rumors are circulating. Well, not rumors. People are pretty sure there's a doppelganger here, hiding among the caravan families. So I'm going to do like social deduction. I'm going to do... I think this is a good time to use one of my abilities, Sigil of the Watcher. So I'm going to create magical sensors all around the camp, and that is going to help me in finding this person. So I need to spend 1 corruption die to draw an open eye on a surface I can see and hear through that sigil. Okay, so to find them, I have to navigate the location. So there are 3 obstacles before I can even like corner this person. So I'm going to roll a d10 for the first obstacle on the navigation table. So let's see, obstacle 1. Also, obstacle 1 is an environmental feature blocking my path. Okay, so obstacle number 2 is an area that must be navigated around or through. And we're going to roll for obstacle 3, and that is a trap or environmental hazard. Did I really just roll a 1, 2, and 3? Okay, I went right in order. Okay, so using the Sigil of the Watcher, I was just looking up this rule. Spend 1 corruption die to draw an open eye on a surface. So I can see and hear through that sigil. I have 3 corruption die because I... Oh wait, this is for the Watcher. Actually, I have 4 corruption die. So then that means I would have to spend 1. A corruption die is just a d6. And I regain them at the beginning of a new day. Using any corruption die will trigger a corruption roll at the end of the day. So, yeah, there's always a give and take every time you use a corruption ability. Okay, so I'm on the hunt to... I'm moving through this kind of shifting layout of Ember. I'm chalking the open eye sigil of the Watcher onto strategic points. And I now... Since I spent 1, I only have 3. But now I do have to roll for a corruption roll at the end of the day. So I'm doing it like on a water barrel in the market, a central tent pole at the side of a wagon. And then I'm finding a quiet spot to meditate. And my consciousness, it goes into this multi-perspective view of the camp. And through one of the sigils, I spot a figure acting strangely, shifting the way they walk, their height mid-stride before ducking between 2 wagons. And so I'm going to break the trance and I'm going to move to intercept, but because of those obstacles, my path is blocked. A massive herd of bighorn mountain goats, some as large as horses, I'll say, they're being driven through the main thoroughfare by shepherds, and there's all this bleeding noise, their horns, wool, they're all anxious and packed tight. It's making this road impassable. So I need to kind of, I could force my way through, but I'm not strong. I'll use sneak, but like that's not. So right now we'll just make it, we'll say it's an environmental, so I'll say it's a D8. And so I just got to beat this D8 So that's a 7. So I just have to beat this 7. I have 2d10. I'm using sneak, just trying to be like deft with my feet. And I'm going to use, and then I just have the base dice. I only have 2d10. Okay, so let me roll this 2d10 and see what I get. Oh, wow! I rolled a 1 and a 10. Okay, so 10 is always a success, and I gain 1 fate point. So fate goes to 7, but I did also roll a 1. So it's a success with the complication. I'm going to say the complication is this doppelganger has spotted me. Like they've noticed me running through the horn, what did I say? They're goats? Yeah, bighorn mountain goats. I look a little bit too determined, and so I'm on their radar now. Okay, so I emerge on the other side, brushing all the coarse hair off my coat, and I glance up and I see there's a young stable boy staring directly at me. It could be anybody, but this kid, I don't know, his expression is a little too sharp, too knowing. Then, in a blink, features change, like water, and he's gone, replaced by an old woman who turns and vanishes into the camp. So the element of surprise is lost. It's okay, this is now a race. The second obstacle, an area that must be navigated around or through. So I'm tracking the shifter toward the end of the camp. I'm near Old Elm's massive apothecary wagon, and there's no streets here per se, but it is kind of like this claustrophobic maze of drying racks. There's lots of wooden frames that he's like, he has draped drying herbs, curing meats, dyed linens. It's a lot of shifting fabrics and smoke that's kind of stinging your eyes. So the dense fabrics are kind of blocking my line of sight. I do see a movement deep within the racks, but to catch them, I have to navigate this like sensory overload without losing the trail or running into a dead end. So I could track them. I have investigate, it's pretty good. The sigil is helping me, so I can get a 1d10 for that. I think that I'm going to use investigation. I'm going to track footprints. And I'm going to say that the challenge die is now at a d10 because of that complication. Element of surprise is gone. So I can't, sees me coming. Ooh, that's an 8. So I'm using investigation. I could talk to Eustace and tell him to keep an eye out, but I don't think that's a good idea. So I get 2d10 because I'm an expert in investigation. And then I have 1 base die, so that's 3d10 total. And let's see. Oh my gosh, 1, 3, 10. Oh my god, another complication. Oh, and another, but, okay, success, that's another fate point. Fate point goes up to 8. Oh, snap. Okay, so 1, 3, and 10. Okay, so I keep my eyes on the ground, looking at the dust. The footprints are pretty frantic. They're shifting from like heavy boot tread to light footprint of a child in like seconds. Different steps are different. It's trying to confuse me, but my analytical mind locks onto the gait, the stride length, so I'm not falling for the feints. And I track them to a narrow alley that's formed by 2 of Old Elm's massive supply wagons. And the track stop abruptly at a tripwire strung tight across the mud. And this is that third obstacle, a trap or environmental hazard. So this complication, it triggers immediately. So I stopped just in time to see the wire, but the doppelganger didn't rely on me tripping from atop the wagon. I'll say they're smart. They already knew I might not fall for the tripwire. So they're atop the wagon. A crate is shoved down and it smashes onto the hard earth. And like, whoom, there is a wall of green fire erupts between me and and this doppelganger takes up all the oxygen, and I see the doppelganger is like wearing a twisted version of me, and then they grin and then they turn to run. So I have to get past this hazard. Well, 2 hazards. So, oof. I can use, maybe artifice? I know scientific research, so I have that knowledge. I have melodic perfection. If I fail a roll, I can spend corruption dice to re-roll that same number of d10. I don't have to roll for corruption even more at the end. Okay, challenge die d10. This is for the challenge die. Okay, rolled a 5. Let's see. Oof. Okay, so I'm gonna use artifice. I'm gonna quickly grab a heavy tarp or something to try to smother the reaction of whatever's going on here, because there's like this green weird alchemical fire. So I'm going to use artifice. So artifice that's 1d10, and then scientific research, that knowledge, is going to give me another d10. And then I have awakened scholar that I can use. Okay, so I have the base die. I have scientific research, that's another d10, and then I have 2 d10. I'm using artifice. And I have an ability, so whenever I make a roll with artifice, I can choose to add additional d10s from my investigation skill to my dice pool. So that's another 2d10. So that is 4d10. Hopefully I don't roll a 1. I've been rolling 1. So let's roll my 4d10. See what I get. Okay, 2, 5, 5, 9. And that's what I needed. Success. So I don't hesitate. I recognize that specific acrid smell of the accelerant, and I know that water would only spread the flame. So I grab a heavy oil. Looks like one of the canvases are like oil treated. So I grab it, unfurl it, and throw it over this green infro, and it flames. No, it starves the flames instantly. And then you could see the thick white smoke as it goes up, and I step through the smoke. So I navigated through all the dangers. I see that the doppelganger is backed against the wheel of this massive van. There's nowhere else left to run, and I could see they're panting. Their form is like rippling uncontrollably, probably because they're anxious or exhausted. But they're like shifting the face of like terrified child, a wolf, like a weeping old man, and then they finally like settle on this like nondescript and androgynous figure with like wide, frightened eyes, and they hold up a hand, trembling, and they say, I just wanted to eat. I just wanted to be safe. And their voice echoing, and you can hear like their voice. It's odd. Their voice is like echoing between 2 different people speaking at once, so it's a little strange. So I found them. Now I have to decide their fate. I could stop them. A shapeshifter in this type of community, it's a hard one, I could go with mercy. I mean, Ember is a city of outcasts. I mean, maybe there's room for one more if this doppelganger can control their urges to shapeshift into people and learn that is not right. That is it's invasive. I could take them before, the elders or whoever is in charge of this camp and argue for their life. I think Serrin is not evil, but he wants to do the right thing. And I think since this person is just, sounds truthful. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to use persuasion, and I'm going to talk to this doppelganger. I'm going to let them know. I'm going to try to convince them that they can no longer hide and switch identities and take people's identities and talk about how invasive it is. I'm going to try to convince them that this is a safe place. They will be accepted here for who they truly are, for this form that they're in now. So I'm going to make a persuasion roll. I'm going to say it's a D10. I think the book says when you're unsure to roll a D10. It's kind of standard. So here's the challenge roll. That's a 4. So I have my base die, and then I have I'm skilled in persuasion, not expert. So I only have 2d10. So that's what I'm going to roll for me. I need a 4 or higher. Yes! A 9 and a 10. Oh my gosh. I'm rolling lots of 10, you guys. Fate goes up to 9. So they are convinced. They nod at me and they say, okay, I'll try my best. I just wanted something to eat. And so I nod and I hold an arm out. So I want them to go talk to there's no like official, like there's no mayor. This is like a wandering city. It's very nomadic. I think we're gonna go to Old Elm. His traits are kind and cranky, but I think he is the person that I would bring this doppelganger to. As I think a lot of people in the city know Old Elm and would take his word even more than mine. His challenge die is a D12 though. I mean, it's kind of fitting that they like for this to finally work. So we're gonna go to Old Elm. He's grumpy, but he watches over the people with a smile. And I come to him with this person, and he's taken aback at first. And then I go and I explain everything that happened and how this person just needs a place to stay and that this is what Ember is all about. And he just he looks suspicious. He talks about how the doppelgangers have just been causing trouble and they're better gone. Just leave. Cause trouble somewhere else. But I see something in his eye. This is like a challenge, like he's challenging me to convince him. So that's what I'm going to try to do. I have persuasion. I'm going to tell him, remind him of the ways of Ember and acceptance. So I'm going to use persuasion. I only have 2d10. Okay, so let's roll his challenge die, which is that's a d12, so let's see. Okay, I rolled a 6. Not bad. Unless I roll lower on both my dice. Okay, I only have 2d10, so let's see. Oh, yes! I rolled a 4 and a 9. Oh my gosh, I thought that was a 6 for a second. I think Old Elm, he grunts, he like spits a sunflower seed out of his mouth. He says, fine, but mouths need feeding and hands need working. They can shift forms, they can reach the high shelves I can't climb to anymore. They stay, but you're responsible for them. He tells me I'm responsible for him, but I'm leaving soon. I say, okay, next time I'm back here, if anything happens, you let me know. And the doppelganger looks at me. There's like some gratitude in their eyes as Elm goes to gesture them into the wagon to start work immediately. So, let's do another quest. I like these quests. Okay, so let's roll another d6. Let's see what this quest is. Okay, so that's a 2. A young woman named Laura. Okay, so yes, a young woman named Laura has arrived in Ember. She was cast out by her parents and ostracized by her community. She's seeking a new home in Ember. The community is ready to welcome her, but Ash, the Kindler, has detected the influence of a spirit that has attached itself to her. Ash needs someone to assist in breaking the hold of the nightmare isolation that has attached itself to her. Okay, so basically I need to help Lara so that she can stay here in Ember. Okay, so that is the quest. I'm going to roll 2d10s. I'm going to see what the complications are. Navigating location. They're not always a negative. So let's roll 2d10. 3 and 4. Okay, so an area that must be navigated around or through. And then a magical or mechanical obstacle, a puzzle, and a non-violent attempt to hinder my progress. Oh, I also get a reward, a resource reward for the doppelganger quest. Almost forgot about that. So I also get 1 skill point. So my skill points, I now have 3. And then roll 1d6. Let me make the resource roll before I forget. Okay, 3. Resources go up to 11. So, to deal with this exiled girl, so I need to reach Lara and break the hold of the nightmare of isolation. Now, is that like a specific thing? Oh my god, it's an actual... Well, it's kind of like a Dementor from Harry Potter. So this is interesting. So, isolation feeds on those who feel most alone in the world. I think that's how she's feeling, and it's so great that it has attached itself to her. So, they fill the minds of their hosts with anxiety and the false belief that they are hated and unwanted, while manufacturing situations and events to keep them apart from those with whom they might form a connection. They drive the host further and further into isolation and feed on their loneliness. The challenge is 1d10. Their fortitude is 8. The abilities. The Nightmare Isolation is an actual creature. Okay. Emotional link, combat or confrontation. The nightmare draws strength from their host. So I can use confrontation or combat moves when fighting this nightmare. If you roll the maximum result on the challenge die, the nightmare draws energy from their host and gains 1 fortitude. Ooh. And they have isolation. The nightmare draws the borders of reality in around you, isolating you from the world on a plane of lonely darkness. You cannot gain bonuses or advantages from allies and gain no defensive dice when you take cover action. Ooh. And so I'm going to go find Ash, the Kindler, and he looks nervous. He's like wringing his hands near the edge of the camp. He points towards like this tattered tent. It's pitched far away from communal cook fires, and he starts whispering. She pushes everything away, but it's not just her. The air around her, it's heavy, cold. I tried to approach, but I got turned around and ended up back here. So, please, she needs help. And so I nod. I let him know I'll take care of it. Do not worry. So I step away towards that. It's very like the closer that I get to it, does feel colder as I get closer to this like solitary camp that Lara has been placed in for now. So I'm trying to make my way there, but of course, that obstacle 1, the area that must be navigated around or through. I'm going to say this nightmare of isolation, it's like manifested to protect its food source. So as I approach the tent, a dense, unnatural fog has rolled in, and it feels like it's distorting space. And I take steps forward, but the tent seems to get farther away, and the sounds of the camp all fade away instantly, and it's silent. So, how do I find my way through this isolation? I mean, I think I'm going to go with investigation. I'm going to use logic and deduction to map the distortion. I'm going to use occult as well, as I'm leaning into this spirit, whatever has attached itself to her, and trying to think back to my studies in the past and hearing about something similar, this type of depression spirit that feeds on people. Definitely a cult. So that is 4d10 I have now. I'm gonna say this thing is the challenge die is 1d10, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna roll a d10. This is what I gotta roll. Okay, that's a 4. It's doable. Okay, so 4d10 from my end. Oh, nice. 2, 4, 7, 10. Oh my gosh. My fate points go up to 10. Okay, so that's the first one. That's the first obstacle I'm able to get through. So I stop moving, I shift my focus, I'm looking at the mist, and I'm like reaching out with my mind, and I'm able to make my way closer. The sound of the camp, all of it, like the wind, it all starts to rush back in, and the fog thins, and I can see a clear path forward through the mud, and I step closer to this tattered tent. Second obstacle, it's a non-violent attempt to hinder my progress, so I'm about 20 feet away from Lara's tent now. I could see like the outline of her silhouette sitting with her knees pulled to her chest, but I'm trying to close the distance, and I hit something hard. It seems like a ward, like it's like this psychic pressure, and every time I try to step forward, I feel this overwhelming like psychic command to turn away. So I'm going to use, I could use occult and artifice, because I want to, like, I have my tuning forks. They are tuned to mystical frequency, so I think I'm going to use those, and that's the artifice part coming in, and the occult is like I'm identifying the anchor of this ward. I'm trying to disable it. Okay, so challenge die again. Let's roll that. See what I need to roll against. Oh, that's a 10. Oh, oof. Okay. Okay. So I have 3d10 that I have already, and then I have my awakened scholar. But I also have I have knowledge of scientific research. Is that coming into play? I'm not sure if scientific research is coming into play. So I have 3d10, but I have my Awakened Scholar ability, and that allows me to add 2 more d6. So I have 5d6 that I'm going to roll. And, oh my god. I've been rolling 10s, but I'm still afraid that I won't roll one. I need a 10 in order to succeed. I'm already at 5. Okay, I'm going to use a stamina to add. I'm going to use stamina to add 1 more d10, which is 6d10, and still I could roll. I have fate points though. I have so many fate points at this point. I really should use the fate points. Okay, don't worry. I have 6d10, you guys. Oh my god. Please. Yes! Oh my god. There you go. Now you can see it. I rolled 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, and 10. And not a 1. Nice. Okay, so because I rolled a 10, I get another fate point. And that is a success. Oh my gosh, the nightmare is strong here. So I draw the tuning forks from my coat. They're cold, and they're starting to hum slightly, and I strike them against the heel of my boot, and that resonance like cuts through the silence, and the ward it tries to push back, and it's like screaming in my mind, "You don't belong here." Focusing on the sound, and soon enough the barrier disintegrates and that psychic pressure vanishes. So I step forward and I sweep the tent flap aside. But inside the tent, I'm going to say the air is freezing, and Lara, she sits huddled into the center. She's wrapped in blankets, but she's still shivering like violently. Hovering over her, like wrapped around her shoulders like a possessive partner, possessive lover, is this nightmare creature. This one right here. With its eyes pure white. It is feeding off of her, and it turns its featureless face towards me. And I can feel that connection between it and the girl. And to save her, I have to break that bond. So, it has a couple abilities. One triggers, like I said before, if I roll the maximum result on the challenge die. And then there's just isolation, which is just a passive ability it has. So it draws the borders of reality in around me, and it's isolating me from the world on a plane of lonely darkness. So I can't gain bonuses or advantages from ally, and I gain no defensive dice if I take cover. Okay, I have no allies here with me. So it has 8 fortitude. So that's like its health. I could try to sever the link. Its challenge die is a D10. I could try to speak to Lara. I can try to banish it. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to banish it. I mean, at least that's what I'm going to do first. And then if that's not working, then I will try to sever the link by confrontation. So this is going to be combat. So I'm first going to choose a combat action. I'm going to try to banish the spirit. I'm going to use my occult knowledge. I'm going to strike at it. So I have my quarter staff as I'm powering my magical abilities through it. And then I will make a skill roll and the challenge roll. So first is the challenge roll. Oof, that's a 9. Okay. So I have occult knowledge. I have at least 3d10. Okay, and I'm also going to use, I have knowledge in, I think knowledge only grants like 1d10, so. But I do have academia as a knowledge that I have, so I think that's coming in to help. I'm going to use academia, occult, and strike, and then I have the base d10. So I have 4d10, and I need to roll a 9 or higher on one of these, and then that determines the outcome. Oh yes, 2, 5, 6, and 9. Oh my god. As I go to strike it, so I'm going to attack it, and so I deal damage equal to the number of successes rolled. So I only had 1 success, unfortunately, so it only goes down to 7. Okay, so I'm hoping that I don't roll a 10 because that whole its feature is going to come into play. But I'm going to roll again. I'm going to look for an opening this time. So I'm making a roll with investigation, and on a success, I gain advantage on the next roll. So I'm an expert investigation, so that gives me 2d10 plus the base d10, so that is 3d10 I can roll. But let's see what the challenge roll is first. No, don't be a 10. No! I rolled a 10. Oh no. Okay. What is his ability again? Okay. It draws strength from the host. Oh my gosh, it gains back its fortitude. Oh my god, it's back at 8. Oh my god. Wow. Okay, I have 4d10. Oh my gosh, I need another 10. It's okay because I can't even use defensive dice because of its isolation feature. I can't use it. Oh. Okay, I'm gonna use stamina to give me another d10. So stamina goes down to 3. So that's 5d10. And then fate points just in case. I need a 10. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. 2, 5, 5, 6, 10. Yes. 2, 5, 5, 6, and 10. So that is 1 success. So it goes back down to 7. Wait, no, I wasn't striking. I was looking for an opening. So it's still at 8. Okay. Okay, so this is round 3. I have 12 fate points now. I gotta start using these. Oh man, it's back up. Okay, but I do have advantage now. I'm going to strike again. So I grab my quarterstaff. I find the opening as I see that it starts to inhale, open its mouth wide, and it starts to, you see her hair start to raise a bit as it opens its mouth and starts to, you hear it, and gains energy once again from the host. But I do find an opening. Maybe it's its open mouth. But I'm going to attack again. Let's roll its challenge die. Come on, the lower the better. 2. Oh my god. So I have advantage. So 1 base die. 2 because of advantage. And 3 because I'm using occult, my occult skill. Because this is like a spiritual type battle. And my strike, I'm skilled in strike, so that's 4d10. And then I really want to take it out. I'm not going to use stamina. That's 4d10. I could use fate dice, I think, to re-roll. That's 4d10. I think that's fine. So let's go. Let's go with 4d10. Oh my gosh, 4, 4, 6, and 10. Oh, wow, 4, 4, 6, and 10. Oh my gosh. Fate goes up to 13. Oh my god, I'm getting a lot of fate points. Okay. That is 4 successes, so that's 4 damage. I go to shove it right in its open mouth as it's like sucking the energy out of her. It is now at 4 health. So now we are at round 4 as I grab my quarterstaff, imbue it with my magic and knowledge. It's kind of, my tuning forks also are tuned to mystical frequency, so that's helping me. And I went to stab, so this is now round 4. Let's see. I'm going to strike again. It's at 4. It's at 4 health. I grab the quarterstaff back out, and I'm going for another face hit because it looks like the face is the only thing that's truly exposed. So I'm rolling a d10, and hopefully the lower the better. Let's go. Oh my god, no! Oh, I rolled a 10, so its ability activates, and it draws energy from the host once again, and it goes back up to 5 health. That's crazy. Now, can I use a fate point to re-roll the challenge die? Okay, because I know I can re-roll mine. Let me double check. Okay, so you can spend 1 fate point to re-roll any d10 in your dice pool, not including challenge dice. Oh. I can add 1 damage or reduce 1 damage, or I can gain 1 resource. Oh, okay, so it goes back up to 5. That's fine. Okay, I'm going to strike again as I see it start to inhale once again as it's starting to swirl a little bit harder around her, and I hear the as it's starting to inhale and it gains its strength back. A little bit of strength, not all of it, but it makes me angry. I'm going to strike once again. So in the book it says combat utilizes strike, deft, and investigation. So what I'm going to do now is I'm not looking for an opening, but I am going to use investigation as I'm just looking for the best, I guess, I don't know, I'm looking for the best spot to hit it, but I'm not looking for an opening per se. So I'm using investigation and strike and occult and my academic knowledge about this thing. So that is 66. And I'm angry this time. It has 5 health. I'm going to use Awakened Scholar as well because it gives me 2 more d10. Oh my gosh, it's getting unwieldy now. I gotta write down how many d10s it is now. So I get 1 from the base, 2 from academic knowledge, 3 from occult because I'm dealing with this mystical being, 4 from my strike skill, and then 2 more from my investigation because I'm an expert, so that is 6. Awakened Scholar is going to give me 2 more, so that is, oh my god, that's 8d10. And then if I need to, I am going to use fate points to add damage, because you can use that. You can add 1 damage. Jesus, that's 8d10. That's a lot. This seems crazy. Okay. Oh my god. Oh my god. Wait. What did I roll for the challenge die though? It was 10. So I needed 10s. Nice. Okay. I rolled 2, 2, 4, 5, 8, 10, 10, 10. So that is 3 successes. And it's at 5. I'm using 2 fate points to freaking end this thing. I go down to 11. Oh, so, but by the rules, I actually gain 3 fate points back. So let's say I was at 13 plus 3, so that was 16. And then I used 2, so I'm actually at 14. So I see that this nightmare of isolation, it's trying to retreat into the shadows of Lara's mind, and it's consistently drawing strength from her. And it screeches as and tries to lash out, trying to push me away, but I'm not yielding. I grab my quarterstaff. It's like humming with the occult resonance of my academic studies, and I strike 3 times. Crack, crack, crack. And I shatter its shadowy form, and it tries to reform, clinging to like the last shreds of existence, but I'm done playing around. I'm so done with this thing. I channel my own willpower, spending the fate points, and I'm forcing my staff through its chest. I speak a word of binding. It's very much a "you shall not pass" moment as I stab it, and the nightmare, it shrieks one last time, and then it dissolves into this like gray smoke, and it vanishes into the ether. And immediately, like, the tent warms up instantly, and I hear a gasp, like, and I turn to look, and it's Lara, and she looks up at me. You could visibly see a heavy weight gone from her shoulders, and she says, "It's quiet. The bad quiet is gone." And she is saved. Woo! Claps. This thing is dead. So I get another skill point. So I'm now at 4 skill points. I'm going to roll 1d6 for the resources. Okay, so that's 4 resources. And then resources goes up to 15. I'm going to say that this helps my reputation with Ash, the Kindler. And you know what? I'm going to say I'm going to add Lara to, some of the NPCs that I know. Okay, so since I returned back to Ash, I think I'm going to go to him because I want to learn a new formula. And so that's like the last thing I want to do on this day. So I've completed like 2 major deeds for this community, and Ash offers to teach me some secret formulas as payment for saving the girl. So I'm going to say, since I helped him directly, I don't need to pay the resource cost. Because when you're learning a new formula, there is like a resource cost, but it's either that or I was going to ask for like a higher pay anyway. I was going to like bargain with him. But I'm going to say that he's very grateful. Lara is very grateful. He's going to help me directly. And he knows, Forge Witch formula. So Well, the book does say there's a resource cost, but it does also say alternatively you could embark on the quest for the NPC in exchange for their magical knowledge, and that is exactly what I did. So he knows a few things. He knows locate object. I already have that one. Peaceful consecration. He has purging ritual, separate a beast from a host. Ritual circle, it boosts other rituals cast inside it. And then there's a ward, seal a space against spirits and corruption. You know what? I think ward is very interesting. That's what I'm looking at now. So you can perform a ritual to magically seal a space, such as a room, building, or cave, against spirits or corrupted, until the end of the day. When one of those creatures attempts to cross into or out of the space, make a roll with occult and the creature's challenge die. On a success, they are unable to cross the barrier until the spell ends. So I think I'm going to spend, like narratively, I'm spending like the rest of the day to learn this spell or this ritual from Ash. And then, it's cool. You could spend additional 2 resources when you cast it to attempt to make it permanent. And then, that's nice. And then the ward becomes permanent for as long as I live. Nice. So, as the sun begins to set over these hills for the night, I have navigated the politics of the caravans, I've hunted a shapeshifter, I've banished a nightmare, I've learned new magic. It was a very eventful day. But I did spend a corruption die earlier to use Sigil the Watcher. And that power within me kind of stirs as I'm trying to sleep. So I have to do the end of the day ritual. So I have to roll for corruption. If you encounter any corrupting powers, then regain spent corruption dice. So I'm going to roll. I'm at full fortitude, so I don't need to spend any extra to heal like resources. I do. It costs 1 resources for like living expenses. Okay, so I go down to 14. And then the corruption roll. So my roll is 1d10 plus stamina, which is at 3. And then there's the challenge dice plus the corruption, which is at 4. So let's roll that. Okay, that's a 7. And I remember I actually reached out to the creator because I was like, it says, when you're making your corruption roll, it says 1d10 plus stamina. My stamina is currently at 3. And so I was like, is it 1d10 plus 3, like the actual number, or is it 1d10 plus 3 extra d10s? And I'm going to look up his answer once more because I think it's d10s that I'm rolling. Okay, so yes, it is extra d10. So I will be rolling 4d10. But he also told me if I had used like 2 different corrupting powers, I have to decide which powers get how many d10s. So if I also used the Eternal Song corruption, I'd have to decide like, okay, I have 3 stamina, so I'll spend 1 with Eternal Song and then 2 with the Watcher Beneath the Waves and see how it goes. Okay, so that is 4d10. I just need to get a 7 or higher on one of them. Okay, 6, 7, 7, 9. So that's a success, no changes. And then I can recover 2 fortitude, but fortitude is all good. And then I can recover all stamina, so I will go back up to 5 stamina. Okay, so I'm going to use I'm going to use 2 skill points to gain another ability from my class, another class ability. So I now have harmonic disruption. So when I make a skill roll opposed by an NPC or enemy, I can use my tuning forks to disrupt their defenses. I spend 1 stamina and reduce the result of the challenge die by 3. That would have been really nice when I was fighting the Lycan, the Were-Raven, because that one was a tough one. So yeah, I now have a harmonic disruption. Nice. So there's a few things I can get. I can spend a skill point to, up my fortitude. 7 has been fine for right now. I can learn a new ability from my class, which I did. I can gain a skill or become an expert in one. How about either strong or survival? How about this? I'm going to use the last 2 skill points to gain a skill, and I'm going to do it in strong and survival because I've been traveling a lot. And I think those are going to come in handy the more I'm traveling around. Okay, there we go. So now I'm skilled in strong and survival. So the last thing that I'll do before we end the session is the travel roll. When you leave one settlement and travel to another, you spend 2 resources for supplies and expenses during travel. Resources goes down to 12. And then you roll on the table to determine what events that you experience on the road. So there is a travel event. So I'm going to roll a d20 to see what that event is. That's a 2. So you are accosted by a group of bandits on the road. Okay. Their challenge is 1d8 plus 2. So that is what I will face in the next session. Okay. That sounds like it's going to be fun. Okay, so that is where I will leave this session. The next one is going to open up as I am accosted by a group of bandits. So dealing with that as I am making my way to the massive city of Neraine.